Module 3, the European Superiority Complex. Have you ever been told that colonialism improved the places colonizers went? That Europeans were, and still are, more civilized or advanced than the rest of the world? This is the story of how one particular way of knowing and being, that of Western white Christians, was imposed on the rest of the world as the superior way of knowing and being. In this video, we are going to deconstruct the myth of Western European superiority and white supremacy while exploring its influence on how we understand global issues today. Pre-colonial societies in the Americas, Oceania, Asia, and Africa were highly complex. They had robust and distinct knowledge systems, cultures, and governance structures. It is historically inaccurate to say that Europeans discovered these places or encountered people who were uncivilized. What is true is that people lived differently and had different belief systems, and Europeans constructed this difference as inferior. This is part of a racist and ethnocentric worldview that posits white Christian Europeans as superior to everyone else. It is an attempt to justify why some people enjoy comfort and luxury, while others produce those comforts and luxuries. In Hospicing Modernity, Vanessa Machado de Oliveira explains how these hierarchies of worth are tied to assumptions about what type of knowledge is considered valid. This has been used to justify cultural, racial, gendered, and other forms of supremacy. Cultural supremacy exists when particular peoples and cultures are perceived to naturally embody authority. They are then able to impose what they believe are objective and universal parameters onto other peoples and cultures. The concept of European cultural supremacy has been used to rationalize the occupation of lands and the racial subjugation of peoples. European ways of organizing and understanding society, politics, the economy, spirituality, religion, and knowledge were viewed as universally better for everyone. One of the key attributes believed to be objective and universal was the capacity to think based on reason and rationality. Reason is often understood as the capacity to consciously make sense of reality and to apply logic in order to adapt and justify decisions. How one makes sense of reality is thought to be based on empirical evidence, knowledge that comes only primarily from sensory experience, from what is observable. This perspective became predominant during a period known as the Enlightenment in 17th and 18th century Europe. The changing relationship of Europeans to religion challenged the power of the church and established critical reasoning over ideas of faith and superstition. While this led to secularization, it is important to note that Christianity still played a very important role in European thinking. The overt control and influence of the church over the state was challenged, but a Christian worldview remained dominant. Christianity remained one of the key justifications used to civilize millions. Other cultures were thought to have traditions, values, and beliefs, but they were not considered to have the ability to reason and produce knowledge of universal worth the way white Christian Europeans did. In this logic, Europeans, in particular upper-class, white, cisgendered, straight, and able-bodied men, considered themselves the apex of human evolution, and everyone else was inferior. This remains an integral part of the Western concept of human evolution and civilization. Civilization is defined as the most advanced form of social and cultural development and organization. To Europeans, civilization meant modernization, secularization, industrialization, individualism, rational thought, and scientific reasoning. All of these values were to be upheld and enshrined in the modern nation states formed through colonial processes. What was considered the Enlightenment, the advancement of human civilization, was made possible through colonialism, imperialism, slavery, militarization, genocide, and ecocide. Death and destruction created the conditions of wealth and luxury that allowed elite white European men to sit around and think. Their reasoning, much of which was an extension of Christian philosophies, also solidified hierarchies between human life and non-human life. Civilized humans were seen as deserving to control and own the natural environment. They were considered the central and most important beings in the world. This belief created the conditions for ecocide, resource extraction, and the exploitation of land and non-human life. Hierarchies also solidified between peoples and cultures, creating the conditions for genocide. European and Western systems have been violently and globally imposed while masking as advancement. These systems have been normalized as the best and only way to organize the global economy through racial capitalism and authority over different peoples and places through nation states. And everyone is expected to take part, to learn the ways of the civilized West and join the global economy. This is where the myth of meritocracy comes into play. If you assimilate into Western culture and become a wage laborer, you are promised access to the enjoyments and securities modernity and civilization have to offer. Anyone is able to make it in a free, democratic, capitalist system because everyone is supposedly on equal footing. You just have to work hard. This is a paradox that sustains global systems today. For example, people in poorer places do manual labor so that people in so-called developed countries can enjoy an abundance of cheap, throwaway goods. And poorer people typically live near or on the spaces of waste and toxicity caused by consumer culture. Their qualities of life are greatly reduced by being near those spaces. Those who are privileged often don't see the violence and harm to human and non-human life that enables their lifestyles. While borders and migration management regimes function to keep people out. It is easier to ignore, deny, and avoid this reality if it is out of sight. But this does not make it any less real. One of the ways the Western world affirms its superiority is through humanitarian and international development work. Many who commit to ending global poverty and inequality do so from a presumed place of innocence and superiority. Essentially, they are saying, I have not created your problems, but I am benevolently here to help you solve them with my goodwill, knowledge, and expertise. Definitions of developed and underdeveloped are inherited from ideas of human progress and modernity. Some countries and the people that live there are developed and more modern, while others are underdeveloped and lagging behind. This way of thinking suggests that some people are better poised to help others become more civilized through funding and engaging in aid and development work. This has led to what Teju Cole called the white savior industrial complex, a whole industry of voluntourism and charity work characterized by paternalistic attitudes toward others. Instead of tackling systemic issues, including how wealthy economies cause poverty in other places through structural debt, labor conditions, and land theft, white saviors focus on the self-serving and simplistic solutions to world problems that make them feel and look good. In this hierarchy, humanity has been divided between those who are perceived as capable, normal, intelligent human beings entitled to be global leaders, while everyone else is there to follow and receive their benevolent aid. This highlights another paradox of modernity and Western systems. There is much evidence demonstrating that it is not rich countries that support the development of poor ones, but actually the other way around. As Machado de Oliveira describes, most of the wealth of countries in the global north comes from and is sustained by historical and systemic processes of exploitation, resource extraction, land grabbing, unfair trade, enforced debt, and tied aid. Rich countries and people tend to present themselves as altruistic helpers, when in fact, the food, clothes, health systems, social security, and technologies enjoyed by privileged people are subsidized by the exploitation of poor people, lands, and non-human life. The hidden violence and costs of the enjoyments and securities many are accustomed to are not typically talked about. This is because it is neither easy nor convenient to do so. It takes humility, honesty, and accountability to face the real harm and violence that is needed to sustain a particular way of life. To face the ways that individuals and communities continue to reproduce the myths of white, Western, European superiority and supremacy. This is increasingly urgent as these truths challenge the very possibility of the continuity of life on the planet. Individual and collective responsibility toward future generations of human and non-human lives must be considered. Humanity needs to develop the ability and stamina to face these hard truths without turning away, especially those who continue to perpetuate and benefit from this system. It's time to stop denying the severity of the mess humanity is facing. It's time to face the storm together.